What's the angle? Should we look at the camera?
Yeah.
Look at the camera.
Looks like we're doing. All right, we're live now. All right, man. All right, welcome to Get the News Straight with. I'm Glenn Sutphin, your host. This is my co-host, Chris Dorsey.
Greetings.
And here's tonight's show. And if y'all are wondering, I keep looking over because my computer blew up, and I have my other computer over here, and it's not all configured correctly right now. Just please bear with us. We've had a rough week. And speaking of which, I guess we'll start the show off with a tribute and a celebration of Keekers, one of our crew. Has passed off. Maybe you should tell everybody about his activism and what.
Well, Keekers
started.
Keekers was a 16-year-old Jack Russell who just passed, and Keeker's significance beyond just being the friend and acquaintance of a number of people around and animals around Richmond. He would, he went out to all of the many various different types of demonstrations, First Amendment events, which is, that's pretty much all we do is just, exercise our God-given and constitutionally mandated, authorities, privileges, and of course, rights. So Keekers, he went out and did everything. He would go on critical mass bike rides. I was looking at a picture from a subject that we're going to touch on later, which is, nuclear fallout, nuclear meltdowns, nuclear radiation poisoning. I saw Keekers was out when we were demanding that Dominion Power not turn back on the earthquake damaged, tritium leaking nuclear power plant, which is located on a earthquake fault line, and they've never fixed anything. Now the tritium's in the groundwater. But anyways, there was something from, I think it was NBC News, maybe Washington Post, and it showed myself and Teddy Parham, the only two to show up. I could show that was some counterintelligence operations from the high up leadership of the so-called Occupy movement that was behind the two people turning out. But in the picture, you can see that I'm holding Keeker's lead. He's probably not attached to it. He's probably just walking around. But there were many news crews out there, and just myself, one other people, and Keekers. He was always there, and Glenn hit on this. He went out to everything. He never complained. He was always happy to be out there doing his part. And a lot of people, I should correct myself. A lot of persons out there, maybe not a high percentage, they don't like me, and I can credit Keekers for keeping me safe when maybe some folks out there with some bad intentions went to do some things.
That brings me to you bring up didn't they also start a smear campaign against him? Okay, so
I love that.
Now people,
he loved that too.
Okay, you people go, well, he was just a dog. He was just a dog. He was an activist. He had people against him that made a smear persons against him that made a smear campaign up against him, but don't go after their animal because that's taboo. But they'll come after him. And so yes, he was an activist. He was a veteran. He was at more stuff than I was, and I'm at a lot. And Chris is at a lot, and he was with Chris through Occupy, through other things. So yes, he was a true activist. He was out there. He didn't. He
paid the price.
Every once in a while, he would voice his opinion on what was going on. Now, when he got home and what he said about you all, that's a different story. I can't eloquently put it the way he did and what he said. Some of that stuff I will not repeat, but he had his opinion when he got home about you. And believe me, I agree with him. It was, you know, he was spot on a lot of this.
Well, yeah, I do want to touch on the smear campaign against Keekers the dog.
Yeah, exactly.
There was a group of the aforementioned Occupy. I don't know whether they're just like, you know, MK Ultra controlled, like, you know, communists, or they're getting paid for it. I'm not really sure which it is, but there's one named Kat McNeil and another named William Carino, and they're a couple of the most dishonest, you know, leftist. And, you know, just by saying the word leftist, one already knows that dishonesty will follow. Same with conservative or so-called conservative, not the actual word, but anyone who identifies themselves as that. Deception, lies, BS. But these folks went around and started a smear campaign against me. And then they said that I'm always seen with a little white dog who has mange. That's what they said. They called Keekers mangy. So Keekers was such an activist that not only will these and such a great American, such a great dog, you know, dogs and cats who are standing right beside us now and walking underneath of where we're sitting. You know, they have every right and every privilege to be here. In a lot of cases, I mean, who doesn't like a dog better than a person? Yeah. I mean, nobody really. I find any time, you know, I spend much time with, you know, most people I know, they much prefer a canine or a cat to a person, or, you know, a pig or a chicken or a cow or pretty much anything. But these folks, they started a lying smear campaign against Keekers the dog. So that will tell you how powerful Keekers was, and I will always love Keekers and think about him, and you know, Bo before him, you know, he went out to all the cannabis protests that we organized around this town, and you know, he was around, you know, when pretty much we let the general public know that not only cannabis is lawful, but it's legal, and you know, anybody who you know, attempts to, you know, say otherwise really deserves to be in front of a firing squad. And you know, they lived on this planet too. I mean, they put their 2 cents in, and I thank God. You know, all praises go to God, and thank God that you know, that he sent me Keekers. And you know, I want to touch on some really important things that, you know, that go into maintaining life on the planet, and some really bad things that are going on that always, and when I say always, I mean always, fly under the radar screen. And that's this nuclear radiation that irradiates and leaves dead zones. I mean, we could be talking, and maybe we can segue onto this and combine them together, about that Gulf oil spill that destroyed life in an entire body of water. But, you know, I want to, you know, get into Fukushima maybe a little bit.
If you said what you want to say about Keekers, we can we'll go ahead and move on to Fukushima, and that's a good segue into the radiation and stuff.
Yeah,
he was an activist against the North Anna
nuclear power plant. It's happening right here. It's happening right here.
And you know, he was out there. He cared. I mean, so he cared more than most of you people. And you say, you know, it was just a dog, but he was an activist. He was active. He was happy. And he was out there more than any of you. He was out there marching in the rain when it was just it was just me and Chris and him. That is true. That is true. You know, so he was. A lot of folks that are watching this, they really deserve credit, because it's difficult even to want to even acknowledge the truth of what's going on. And some of the people out there, many of the people, they do make an effort to come out and be active,
but it is a very small percentage of people. And the more important the issue is, the less. There are no persons out there. There are certainly no citizens, because they're too sycophantic. They don't even acknowledge that this stuff is going on. But the people are pretty pathetic. And you're right. And sorry to interrupt, but I just want to reiterate your point that dogs are coming out, and they are more cognitive about what to stand for and where to stand than you people who know better. We can only talk to you, the people who know better. And good God, that is correct. Keeker's the dog. He's a great being, a great entity, a great soul. He is out there. What are you doing? You see your planet being killed. What are you doing? We've proved everything backward and forward. Name the subject. Yeah, you can't debunk the information that we have. You can't debunk the words on the pieces of paper that are officiated. And when that's not good enough, we get it all on camera. And then we go, oh, not only do we get it all on camera, and here's why, and here's the money trail, and here's the cars these folks are driving in, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And here's the official deal, and here's the copy of their bank account, and here's the copy of the regulations that controls everything on the planet. And we'll say over and over, you can find it too. But you know all this. Your planet is dying, and what do? You
sit there and you let a dog march for you.
That's what dog you do. Is marching.
You let a dog march for you. You have a voice. You can change this. You can stand up and say enough of this shit. The government, they're bringing in the UN. We were taken over 20 years ago. We have been invaded 20 years ago. They have been pumping radiation into the atmosphere through Fukushima, through the Diablo Canyon, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
All these that are built on a fault line, they're pumping in, they're making the lower atmosphere a petri dish of disease, all for Agenda 21 for one thing. And it's a death by 1,000 paper cuts. I mean, they're hitting us with 1,000 different things, and we're going, well, it's not this, well, it's not that. No, it's all of them.
It's death by 1,000 hatchet wounds, because it's like, it's so obvious. It's like they're like, okay, let's chop off this finger, and then let's chop off
we didn't chop that finger. You don't need that finger. Well, you don't need that finger. Oh, well, this one's dead too. Chop them all off. Then, hey, now we need you to work with your hand, but you can't because your fingers are missing. But they're going to charge you anyway.
And this is why I am unemployable. And let me repeat myself. I am unemployable. And we could break down that word, ploy. I'm not going to be involved in, I'm not able to be involved in someone else's ploy. And this ploy that everyone slaves away for, it's really the grand scale of the old concept of digging one's own grave. Because that is what you are paying for when you go to work, when you go to your place of employment, you are digging your own grave. If you think, oh, that's too harsh, you're complicit in your own demise. What do you pay for? Where does our tax dollars go? I mean, it doesn't go to anything good, like it goes to kickbacks and goes in politicians' pocket, but it all goes to the military. What is the military? The military of the United States, as just to segue back and piggyback on what Glenn said, because we always come back around, the United States military is the enforcement arm of the Bank for International Settlements and the other central banks. And according to the head of the military, Leon Panetta, takes its orders from NATO and the UN.
Yeah. They're the de facto army for the world. The New World Order's de facto army is the United States Army.
Okay.
As a mercenary type unit.
Let's be a little more exact, because yeah, several times a year, depending on what so-called branch of the same beast that's called the military, which could be called the international military industrial complex. Think about how many different militaries do joint operations with the United States military.
Well, we got Russia operating inside the U.S.
Of course.
They're flying bombers in the Gulf.
NASA? When did NASA and the cosmonaut program, when did they merge? Immediately. And when folks ask, well, how do you know this? Who have you talked to? I can say, well, one is Lieutenant Colonel Robert Bowman. And if one wants to look into, our documented meetings and conversations between Dr. Bowman, or Lieutenant Colonel Bowman, and myself, that's well documented too, what we were discussing in our plans for the militia and the formation of the militia as a force to, reconstitute the law, to reinstate the Constitution of the United States of America. And then when you segue back to, oh, how does Chris know any of this shit about weaponizing space? Just do a Google search for Lieutenant Colonel Robert Bowman, and you'll find out where I'm getting my information about weaponizing space.
Just read a real history book. It's in there.
They
said it in the news that they're doing this.
Russia and the United States, their governments are controlled by the same institution. You can find this out now. It's demonstrating itself out now. Do a Google search for Bank for International Settlements, Russia, or more specifically, Basel III and Russia. You will find every degenerate Temple of London City law firm, setting the agenda for the Russian government. And it's no different from when it was when the 1917 revolution took place. And then we could, I mean, we'll get into the, fake Semite Jews, maybe later today, but we'll definitely hit on that constantly. But what I'm saying is that's a level further down. What we document is that, yeah, maybe there are UFOs that, nobody knows what they are in the military, but how many Chinook helicopters do we see flying over this neighborhood? How many drones are circling this neighborhood right now? I mean, we document it.
Right before we went on air, there was a helicopter that flew over the house. So,
go to Richmond Peace on YouTube and you'll see black helicopter, another black helicopter, more military area vehicles, drone, UAV circling the neighborhood for hours. We're not making this up. You can see it yourself. What are you going to do about it? What's happened to the American people? Why are they so pathetic? Why is their behavior so antithetical? And this is mostly citizens and persons, but even folks that are descendants of the people, of the original people, we the people of the United States. I'm not even talking about the folks that they don't care about America. I'm not talking about the nihilists. What about the folks that actually pretend to care? They are manipulated, and they're really immoral.
They let a dog march for him.
Thank you, Glenn.
They let a dog march for you. And he has more respect for me than I do for you, because he was out there in the rain doing it, and you all could have been there. You have a voice. He didn't. He used it when he needed to, but mainly he was watching the spectacle called human life, because it was pretty funny.
I do want to say something, because about that. Folks, I should say, out there, they might go, oh, this is crazy. They're saying a dog is marching, a dog goes where, no. I mean, what we know about dogs and what their comprehension level is, they know where they're going. I mean, before even during all this stuff, Man, when I would say, Keekers, it's time to go to work, and go down to the old happy corner at the corner of Main and Stafford Street in the city of Richmond in the Fan, he knew where we were going. He knew what we were going to do. He knew who he was going to see. He had friends and acquaintances. He knew what was going on when we were riding the bike in. When there was danger coming on the road, he alerted me before anything else. So we're telling you, it's all out there. All the information, all the truth is out there in plain sight. If you let go of the lies and let go of the ego that binds. And Keekers, when I would say, hey, Keekers, I'm going to a demonstration, you want to come? Because he was always, you know, I learned God gave every creature free will. God gave every creature free will. So, of course, he gave, you know, man free will, but he gave every creature free will. So I do the best that I can to respect others' free will. And so Keekers knew where he was going, and he knew what he was doing. He knew when he was on camera.
Definitely that hand.
You could, yeah. He knew what was going on. He knew that he enjoyed what he did, and he did it with gusto. And I just really think it's pathetic, you know, the state of the American populace. And I do comprehend how it happened. It is a
it's a weaponized program.
It is a military operation,
and it worked real well.
Operation, you know, Operation Artichoke, Operation MK Ultra, Monarch. You know, Operation Monarch, Operation Mockingbird. You know, I mean, it's all very, very subtle, very detailed, very. I mean, the evil human subconscious, the human subconscious of bad humans, sociopathic humans. I mean, however one wants to describe them, demonic, satanic, sociopathic, psychopathic. It's all pretty much the same. The end result is all pretty much the same. The subconscious of those individuals is a very powerful thing, and it has hypnotized, and you know, it has mesmerized, it has divided, it has you know, nearly conquered the American experiment. And it's really up to us. It really is. We'll tell you know, we're getting closer to the time of the General Assembly session. We'll give you know, more detailed instructions and directives to the people. But it's up to the American people. No one else on the planet can shut this down. The British people maybe second, some folks in Switzerland. Yeah, I mean
they can shut down their own.
That's
systems.
Right. This is a worldwide movement.
Yeah, it's everybody on the planet has to stand up and say, hey, enough's enough. You elitists do not own the sun. You do not own the wind. You do not own the land. The land is speaking and telling the people to do something, and the people have refused to listen to the land.
Right.
And that's why we need to get back to natural law, common law.
Amen.
And get rid of these stupid statutes that we keep making crap up, going, well, if we have more laws, well, and then, hey, we'll let Janet Reno investigate herself for Waco. Why not? And she found she did nothing wrong. The police now, well, they were within their rights according to them. Well, their rights are not what is according to their own statutes.
Let me tell you one thing about what the law is. Janet Reno, as Attorney General of the United States, has zero rights. The police department as a whole, or individuals serving in the police department, they have zero rights. Only people have rights. People create the government. If people create the government and only people have rights, then the government has no rights, and individuals representing the government have no rights. Their only duty is to protect the property of the people. And what is the property of the people? Nothing else but our God-given rights. That's it. That's all one needs to know to comprehend the law. That's it. That's all you need to know. So
yeah, exactly. They're pushing statutes as, well, these are laws. No, gravity is law.
Right.
Gravity is law. The forces, the electromagnetic force is law.
That's right.
Sorry. That's the way it is. Now, if I say, well, this certain color is blue, and I get a bunch of people to go follow along, go, blue sounds like a good name for it. It doesn't make it a law. It makes it a construct. It is not a law. It's this idea that we all, like religion, it's an idea that everybody follows and says, well, yes, I believe that same way too. So therefore it becomes a religion. It is not the end all to end all, because you can then change your mind and go, well, no, that's not blue. That's now purple orange. And you get a bunch of people to say that's purple orange. And then you change that construct, just like 2 + 2 is 5. It's a construct. 2 + 2, we all know, is 4. But Common Core is teaching 2 + 2 is 5. It's whatever you want it to be. And then they have nice numbers and not so nice numbers. Get out of the sandbox. Get your head out of your ass. I don't want to see the buildings of the future if 2 + 2 is 5. You know, it's
how about this though? Just saying, you know, Common Core is a movement and construct within a larger movement and construct to dumb down the American public, to control and imprison and enslave the American public, and that is called the public school system. So what is it that this public school system has done? It has led to the largest prison population in the history of the world. It is a pipeline to prison, or it's a pipeline to debt slavery job, and it makes folks stupid. Think about this. We were a nation of farmers before. What's the most valuable thing of any commodity on the planet? It's farmland. Who had that? The American people. They didn't really go to school. Maybe they would go to school till the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd grade, or maybe they didn't go to school at all. But they certainly didn't go into debt for the rest of their lives to pay for freaking college. You know, they had, what I'm saying is, they had land. What is the school taught the people? That what, you know, lose all your morals, give away all the most valuable things that you have, which is farmland, because what are you going to do? You know, eat your diploma?
Yeah, you may as well. That's
are you going to put your square hat on and then go like, wow, I'm glad I'm wearing this, like, you know, square head, you know, mockery of myself, you know, with this black robe.
That square hat is called a mortar.
Yeah,
the mortar, yeah, which is a Mason symbol, if we're not mistaken. The mortar and the pestle.
Okay, so now
it's a Masonic. So see, if you want to really start getting into it and you start looking into this, you go, well, wait a minute, I just
Judeo-Masonic, because the Judeo. And that, you know, but we'll get
a lot of this stuff is as plain as the nose on your face, but so overlooked, just like your nose, because you look over it because it's so in your face. They put it in
hidden
your
in
face.
plain sight.
They put it there and they say, look, this is what we're doing. We're taking over, and you're going to let us, and we're going to tell you that you're going to.
The movie The Matrix.
And then yeah, exactly, The Matrix.
That's them saying like, hey, we're letting you know what's going on. Here it is. Hey. Because they have to, because they're black magicians, and they have to let the folks know. They're not I mean, they are illusionists, of course, but that's under a larger category of magic, black magic in particular. They have to let you know what's going on. The left hand will be signaling, and the right hand might be distracting, but they let you know. Look at the dollar bill. Look at that magic piece of paper. It's like, okay, we're going to print this stuff on there, and then like all of a sudden people are going to kill over this. It's a piece of paper, and what does it say on it?
No,
this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private, So what is it? It's not money. It's just a little piece of debt paper.
It's a god. It's a graven image.
Sure, it's a graven image.
It's a graven image. And well, if you're really a Christian and you're not supposed to fall, bow down to graven images and idols, well, you're bowing down to the American dollar, which is a idol, and you're using a Fed note. Yeah, pretty much. You are furthering the scam.
Right.
That you're just continuing going, well, because I'm using this, I understand we have to use it, but that's another construct of humans.
Right. Okay.
They made up, but that's another. We'll get into that later too.
Here's another segue. Like we were saying, I'm not the smartest individual on the planet, but I know where these folks are going to be, and I know what they're doing, and I know that. Their lies aren't very good. Their bullshit is transparent. It's not difficult to prove election fraud. It's not difficult to be a top tier investigative journalist that gets the scoop on almost everybody else around. I'm talking about. I mean, we're just going to go ahead and say it. I'm talking about Glenn and myself and maybe a couple other folks. It's not hard. So it's not like I'm not patting myself on the back, because this stuff isn't something that's too difficult. It's not like you're finding a needle in a haystack, is what I'm saying. Finding the corruption in the government. It's everywhere you look.
If you can't find it, you're not looking.
If you can't find it, you are blindfolded and you're holding your hands over your ears, and you're digging a hole and you're burying yourself in it. And even there, you are making noises like, it's everywhere. It's so much out in the open that it's ridiculous. Everything you see on TV is either 3/4 a lie or entire, or the spin. The spin that's put on it is a lie. You will see.
It always pushes the agenda. It always pushes their agenda forward. Always, always, always. If they say something, they're lying.
Right.
Even if they're telling you the truth, they use that kernel of truth to push their lie.
Right.
To push their programming on you. That's why it's called a television program. They are programming you to do a certain thing a certain way, what they want. All these sitcoms, they push what the agenda is, and I can't even watch TV, and I don't watch TV anymore. I gave it up. It's like, no, I don't need it. I got enough trying to surf the internet, looking through all this stuff to bring it to you so you can tell me I'm lying. And then when you look it up, you go, well, and a lot of you look at it, go, oh crap, and run the other way and go, I don't want to hear it, la, 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 and thinking that's going to change everything, and then going, well, what are you doing? I'm doing a lot. Keekers did a lot. What are you doing?
How about the folks also that put that out there to us? I mean, when you were talking, and I want to get back to this because this is the plan. This was laid out. When remember when Bilderberg came through? That was summer of 2011. That was was that 2011?
Either 11 or 12. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Exactly. Dates right now. I'm barely living, so dates Anyway,
so it must have been summer of 2012.
Okay, Bilderberg.
Bilderberg and Chantilly, because now that you mention it, was the summer of 2012. Okay, we had there were folks that put out there the Occupy Bilderberg demonstration, and it was well attended, and I made I did a press conference for it, and it was the press conference that was put on the official Occupy Bilderberg website. And then basically we put out there, we were putting the information out there that the Virginia State Police and I think that's Flaherty and Rohr, who was the head of the what was that? That would, I think, maybe be Fairfax County Police. I have to check behind it, but we contacted them. We made it public, you know, to national and international television, local television as well. As you can see, when during the press conference, there were, you know, channels, the local CBS and ABC affiliates showed up to the press conference. Silver Persinger was there as well, and it was just me talking about the criminal nature of the Bilderberg Group and how it's treasonous that these banking officials, international banking officials, international military officials, and officials of the United States government meet together inside the United States and make secret plans that affect the American public, and how this is illegal and how this is treason, violation of Article 3, Section 3 of the Constitution. So at that point, I put on there, and I had to force my, you know, way on, you know, because Aaron Dykes and Alex Jones, they were up there, and Luke Radowski and Mark Dice. They don't want the real deal American people out there. They want a little bit of it to give themselves false legitimacy, but they don't want a lot of it. So what I said, and you can find this at Disrupting Bilderberg, the final night. That's on InfoWars. That's Alex Jones' YouTube channel. It's probably a number of different places. But Aaron Dykes did his best again to, you know, push me aside when the Alex Jones folks came through. The real information about the treason of the, you know, Americans participating in the Bilderberg Group and the foreign entities and individuals that were coming in to our state, the Commonwealth of Virginia, and protected by the Virginia State Police and local law enforcement, that this was treason. And these folks, including and especially our so-called fake, in reality, law enforcement, they were protecting the most criminal individuals on the planet, and that we need to come together, which is what we've been attempting to push for the past, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. This government cannot be reformed. The government of the world is all controlled by the same individuals. We need to, in the United States, because we are the most powerful people and we have the most powerful infrastructure in a lot of different ways, and we can parse that out, and I don't really think that anybody can debunk those claims that I'm making. We need to gain control of that infrastructure and power that the people control, and now that external power that the government controls, which is immediately, you know, if the law were to be upheld, given to the people, which we are going to demand, that we need to get together and we need to come up with a plan. We got to come up with a plan. We don't even have a plan.
Well, I've seen a lot of plans, but
to abolish the government?
Yeah, I have seen some that are abolishing the government, marching in with the guns to take over to arrest them or shoot them. And it's like, once the bullets start flying, the war starts and it's over.
I mean,
yeah. Right now the government cannot be reformed, but the government can be reset. We can go back to the concept of the Constitution, go back to what we were supposed to be, tyrannical corptocracy that's come in, socialist, communist, whatever. All the work, fascism works too. They're fascists, and I was going to get into this. We'll segue into this real quick. The foci that are on both sides of Congress on the wall. They have foci up on the Congress thing saying, we're fascists.
The left wing and the right wing of the same.
Both fascist. It's gone back. It goes back to
bundled sticks together.
Roman times did this, and it's gone back beyond then. So, and they're following the same plan year after year after year.
It's a powerful symbol.
No matter who they put a face in. They put Barry Soetoro, Barack Hussein Obama, one big ass mistake, America. They put him in there, the new face. He replaced Bush, which was the new face that replaced Clinton, which was the new face. But each new face carries the same agenda through to the end and increases that agenda. We'll get rid of Obama, hopefully, he'll get out, even if it's after his 2 years. He won't run another term, trust me, because that's totally against the Constitution. And if they do that, then you know what? Bullets need to start flying. But barring that, he'll leave. We'll get a new face in there, and everybody go, oh, look, it's so much better. And then for 8 years, 8 years, oh my God, how did it get worse? Let's put a new one in. You revolve around the same shit pile. That's why it's called revolution. You revolve around the same pile of shit.
Revolution is a Rothschild political construct. That it is no good for anyone. I'm not advocating revolution. It sounds like Glenn's not advocating revolution.
I'm advocating evolution. We need to evolve away. We gave our power away to the government, and they took full advantage of it and took more that we did not give them. So, and limit the damn government. We set it back. We go, look, you are here to defend our rights, not to tell us what our rights are. Our children do not belong to the community. The community is made up of our children. Yes. There is a big damn difference with y'all saying the school can come into your house and tell you what to do. It has more authority than parents.
There is nothing in the United States Constitution about a freaking school. There is nothing in the United States Constitution about health care. Death care is what it really is. If you want to die, go to the hospital. If you want to get a disease,
911.
Or call 911. Yeah, right. If you want a disease, where are the disease? Go to the freaking hospital. I mean, I'm not saying that one should be like a Christian Scientist or something like that, but I'm saying, man, take care of yourself.
It has its place when it's needed.
That is a money grab. It is nothing more. I have seen what they do to old people. They kill them and they take all their money on the way out.
They're not allowed to talk about that death panel that doesn't exist in the thing. And then they've come out in the news and said, ha, 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 you people are so stupid. The American public is stupid. They call you stupid on TV, going, we had to lie to you to pass the stupid thing because you wouldn't, if you read it and you saw what was in it, you would say no the fuck way.
You're talking about John Gruber.
Yeah, Gruber.
Okay.
Rubber.
Well,
Worm, whatever his name
is. As someone who descends from the Gruber family, I must say, I don't think we're cousins, and I think that guy may have changed his freaking name.
Yeah, I don't think his real name is Gruber.
I don't think if it is, something's up.
Yeah.
But that is something, and I want to say that even during the Civil War, and I want to say this because my law, the law for me, is Virginia Constitution. That's my law because the 10th Amendment says that's the law. So if you're in Maryland, then the 10th Amendment says the Maryland Constitution is your law. And just about every one of these nihilists and Jews and atheists need to be knocked out of office in Maryland because the Maryland Constitution says you can't even hold public office if you're an atheist. So what I'm saying is that's the law. The United States Constitution, that's the law for America as a whole. But the 10th Amendment says, hey, this stuff is it's all laid out. The people are the creators of the government. The people ordain the government. Therefore, they can abolish it at any time, and it's only to serve their ends and so forth and like that. But it says, oh, okay, you got these rights too. And then the 10th Amendment says, hey, outside of these little rules, not for the people, but for the government, because the United States Constitution is not the rules for us. It's the rules for the government, because we create the government. We're not going to shackle ourselves. God gave us free will. That's not a shackle. So what I'm saying is, it's the Virginia Constitution. That's the law. And it didn't matter whether there was a civil war or not. It was still the law. They want to come in and BS us and say like, oh, well, the Virginia Constitution, Article 1, Section 13, I think it's Section 13, says the militia is the highest form of the government. And that The militia is the body of the people. So what do they have to make a bad word out of? The militia. What is it? That's really the only word that would ever give anybody any rights under the government. That's why that's how the government has become tyrannical, because they have abolished the militia. Militia's in the Constitution. Police, state police, city police, FBI. That's
made up constructs of a organization.
Right. And it's also unconstitutional. All those institutions, they are unlawful and unconstitutional just through the concept of they have usurped the power of the militia.
And if you use militia interchangeable with we the people, then they're here against we the people.
Because it is the body of the public. You know, the law is the Virginia Constitution, where we sit. That is supreme law. That is supreme over U.S. Constitution. It is supreme over U.S. Constitution because the government of Virginia, they oversee the elections, which gives the federal government its power. Now, we've already established that the elections, especially in Virginia, are fraudulent and so forth and so on.
Yeah.
But again, what is militia defined as? Lawfully. What's the law? Virginia Constitution. Does Virginia Constitution define militia? Yes, it does. What is the definition? The body of the people. That means that if the government has 10 MRAPs in the city of Richmond, the Richmond militia needs to have 25. Who's the Richmond militia? Well, you know, it's us right now.
It's all of us.
You know, it's so funny. It's so funny. Brandon Howard, did you look into any of the?
I haven't checked in yet.
Okay,
I can't really find it. I heard a tiny from you. I did read one thing that it was kind of like way out there and off different directions. So
okay.
Really.
So there's a federal lawsuit, and we'll tell you how disgusting those pieces of, you know, garbage at the Richmond Times disgrace are, and how they manipulate stories and lie. So Brandon Howard was out, and he was, you know, and this impeach Obama stuff, it really, I mean, he should be impeached, but same with Bush and Cheney. So, and it doesn't really matter because they're just puppets anyways. And
right,
but
new one. But anyway.
So anyways, Brandon Howard was holding an impeach Obama sign and was out carrying his, I think he has an AR-15. And so he was assaulted and detained by the Hopewell police, which is like a 10-person force of, you know, stupid white trash, degenerate pieces of garbage, you know, like most of the police.
Yeah, very
like most of the police. But so anyways, he's filed a lawsuit in federal court, and Brandon has been a participant at the IRS rally, which was put on by the Virginia militia, which Glenn and others got photographs of. I mean, the media is out there. You know, they got military people coming out. They got Homeland Security coming out to us. And we're standing there with our guns and saying, you got a problem? Get the fuck out of our face. Get out of our face.
Yeah,
Go back on there. We're outgunning you, and we're in front of your building. We just need a small number more. We just need a little bit more. Because, you know, we got the law in our hand. Mike Herring, you know, walked by. We're taking the Commonwealth's attorney, that crackhead Mike Herring, and we're just mocking him on camera. And we've got guns, and we're standing around. And then who comes by? It's like, oh, here comes the fucking sheriff. When we're standing out on tax day in front of the IRS headquarters with our automatic weapons and news cameras and other independent journalists out there, and they see us, you know, they go, don't come on this property. And we go like, oh yeah, we're coming on the property. and you go the fuck back in there or you're going to have a fucking problem. And what did they do? They went back inside. So then we're setting up. Here comes the fucking sheriff, retarded Uncle Ruckus. No offense to anybody, you know, who has a real developmental disability. Captain Torture, CT Woody, who I don't know how many times I had to punk that little dipshit, degenerate scumbag out. I mean, he's a joke. He's an absolute freaking joke. And then he sees Glenn. We're like, you know, kicking Homeland Security. In the city of Richmond. And what happens? CT Woody sees us, hears us, and that little, what is the word to describe that waste of freaking oxygen, CT Woody? What is the best? I mean, just such a, he called me lower than whale crap with his little faggot earring in. And you know, I mean, he can't even get 2 seconds. Is he literate? Are you literate? I mean, are you just a demonic beast murderer who's just a dumb, you know, piece of garbage that
I thought that's how I got the job.
I mean, that must be it. But he's smart enough that he knows he will never face up to us.
Well, yeah.
He will never do that because, you know, that'll be his. Right. He runs back inside. He's like, oh, shit.
Oh, no.
Run back inside. Run back inside. Run away. Run away, you coward.
And tell somebody else lower down to go take care of him. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've already established what will happen there. That would be like a last fatal move for one of those degenerates. So what I'm saying is, the militia is already formed. The militia is in activity. They say Brandon Howard's a member of the Tea Party and the Richmond Times-Dispatch, and he's head of the Hopewell Republican Party. I don't, you know, I never really talked to Brandon that much about what the Hopewell Republican Party actually is, if it's a, you know, functioning group or not. That's what they're putting in the paper. They don't put in the paper Brandon Howard out with his aforementioned AR-15 that was unlawfully confiscated out at the IRS building with the Virginia militia and Chris Dorsey and Glenn Sutphin. They don't say the Brandon Howard out with, you know, 15 armed activists, many with automatic weapons and shotguns, in front of the Federal Reserve Bank, communicating to the public that we have been in contact and that we have demanded answers for all the documented crimes of the Federal Reserve Bank, and we'll go through them quickly, and we're standing out there with guns. And again, news cameras come out there, but they don't ever put it on the news. What we're saying and what we've documented is that the Federal Reserve is controlled by a foreign bank called the Bank for International Settlements through Basel III. That Israeli dual citizens have been and in the past and are dual Israeli citizens. Stanley Fischer, 2013, president of the Bank of Israel. 2014, vice president of the Federal Reserve Bank of the so-called United States. And he's really calling the shots. Janet Yellen, dual Israeli citizen, taking over for Ben Bernanke, dual Israeli citizen. Okay, so we said, how is that legal? Besides that, and then we got into the constitutional questions of Article 1, Section 8, Article 1, Section 10, Article 4, Section 4, and how Article 3, Section 3, how the Federal Reserve Bank violated that. And then getting into their own rules of international banking when Germany and other countries started demanding their gold back from the Federal Reserve Bank. The Federal Reserve Bank defaulting. Then we started getting into the COMEX scam and the LIBOR scam, saying that for every ounce of actual gold, there are between, I would say, from the disparate numbers we got, 100 and 1,000 owners. So actually, when one sees the price of an ounce of gold, it is actually not that, you know, we don't even know how much gold there is out there.
Yeah, because
there's never been an audit of anything, which also
Yeah,
that
that's another
me.
thing. You know, they could be like the stock market and everything else. That is gamed as well. We don't know how much is there. They could say, "Oh, we got 100 trillion tons and only have 5."
They're buying. Yeah, so, that's right. And that is what they. That is. We know that they're doing that because we know that for every ounce that they are attesting, I should say, to be accurate, because these entities can't make a claim. Only a man can make a claim. So they are attesting that there is a certain amount of gold held in these central banks and in circulation. And for what we know of that there are between 100 and 1,000 owners of each ounce of that gold, which means that the actual real value of gold with whatever bullshit that they've made up is overestimated in value between 100 and 1,000%. We had long conversations and back and forth between spokespersons for the Richmond Federal Reserve Bank on these subjects and their legal counsel. We showed it on camera. This is a letter from the legal counsel of the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond. Here is the recorded conversations we had with these individuals from the Federal Reserve Bank. So how do we respond? We alert the public of what's going on, that this is unlawful. We've alerted the police. We've given them lawful orders. We've alerted our elected official. We've given them lawful orders. Our next step is to stand out in front of their buildings with weapons. And these folks have literally plotted to assassinate myself and others. And if one wants to think that that sounds paranoid or so forth, just do a quick Google search for plots to assassinate Occupy leaders, State Capitol Police, and Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond. We, for those who have seen us document and suss this claim over, there's no argument. There's no argument that political operators within this system have attempted to kill me. There's even freaking, the police attempted to cover that up, but they couldn't because it was too much. There was too much on them. Then they were even involved in it, and they didn't want to get too far into that. The Commonwealth's attorney office was involved in that. The judges were involved in that. Different members of the Bar Association were involved in that. Now I'm talking about, something more about that. It was more than just me, but it was me as well, that they were plotting to kill us. They were plotting to assassinate us. The FBI, the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond Police, the State Capitol Police. The
IRS.
Right, but I'm talking about this specific operation, and this had been documented through FOIAs. This is semi-mainstream media documented information, and we knew it while it was going on. We knew it was Army intelligence running the ground operations from the beginning. We knew who the feds were. We got videotape of folks claiming that they're feds. I mean, we know these international communists and these code pinkers and these anti-war folks like Phil Willeto. We know they're feds. We know these new Black Panther Party like Malik Shabazz. We know they're feds. We know they're feds by their actions because they're getting paid to do this. Who's paying them? Soros. Who's backing them? National Endowment for Democracy, the Rockefeller Family Fund, the Ford Foundation. Who are they working with? Kokesh, Code Pink. The cop block people.
Monsanto.
They're working with the cops. In this town, the lawyers, they play both sides, and they have their little minions like Nathan Cox who put that shit out there, and they play both sides. And they put out race-baiting information, and they'll never show up at a 9/11 rally, and they'll never really oppose the Fed. And they'll never, ever do anything that goes outside of the fucking establishment. What's going to get them on television, what's going to feed their ego, not what's constitutional, not what's Christian. These folks are fake Christians. They serve Jews. The Jews killed Jesus. That's what they serve. That's what you serve. And if you think this is all allegorical, okay, right on. The allegorical Jews, the allegorical usurers killed Jesus. So, what do we have? What are you going to do about it? We're going to give more specific instructions, but I just want to, I'm going to shut up for a while because I've been talking way too much. But it's January 14th, 2015. We're going to have meetings before this. We're going to if you want to even, fake it till you make it. If you've been doing the bullshit controlled opposition activism in the past, I don't care.
Show up.
Show up. And if you don't show up, this is your last chance. Then you're done. We will spend a lot of our time taking you down. We will
I won't worry about them. I'll just keep going on. I'll keep going on. Keep doing what I'm doing. Putting the information out there.
That will become more of what I do.
And you fallen by the wayside, and you're a piece of trash that blew down the road.
Right.
Because at that point, that's all you are.
The government.
And we don't need you.
The government cannot be reformed. The law must be reinstated. The law states that the people are supreme. And on this plane of existence, people are supreme. Not a collection of communized, Jewish minions, but the people, the body of the people are supreme. Not their creation, the government. That is the law. If you don't like the law, then I and others who are making free will choices, we will run over you. What I'm saying is, this is it. We need to go out there to the General Assembly, and we need to shut the thing down. We need to shut it down.
Pitchforks and torches.
Pitchforks and torches. We need to and what we're going to do beforehand is we're going to contact some of these folks that were in on this plot that we were talking about before, about the assassination plot, like Lieutenant James Lane, who sent me a cryptic email back before I'd even heard of anything called Occupy Wall Street or Occupy Richmond. And he's the head of the intelligence arm at the state capitol police. We're going to contact you. We're going to track you down. We're going to say, look, you're going to have to start following our lawful mandates and dictates and orders, or we're going to have to escalate this. We're going to have to shut this whole thing down because the government is 100% unlawful. And it's as simple as that. And if you think tweaking or a court case here or this guy being made an example out of for, knocking some, kid in Petersburg over the head, and that's a whole suspicious old thing with who's suing who and all this other stuff. And if anybody really knows anything about it, they'll know what I'm talking about. And if you think I'm sounding like I don't know what I'm talking about, then you don't have any idea what's going on with that issue or case. It's as simple as that. We need to come together and make a plan on what the best strategy is. I mean, there are plenty of tactics. I mean, I've studied this subject. I suggest that everyone go out and buy the book or find the book online or wherever you can find it. I got it used. It's called Guerrilla Warfare by Ernesto Che Guevara. When it gets to that point, they're not going to be able to do anything. Like, there's too many. I mean, those are naturally instinctual tactics, but I really like the way Guevara wrote and he laid it out, everything. If you don't like guerrilla warfare, I apply that to everything in my life. I apply that to politics. I apply that to everything. but we've already got it figured out. Like basically, you know, we surrounded CIA headquarters with a bunch of, you know, CIA controlled, you know, goons. I surrounded Dick Cheney's house in Langley, Virginia. So now imagine like where we're in control. You know, I'm a Virginian. You know, I can take that back many generations, and you know, so imagine if it's not a bunch of controlled fake commie Jew peace activists, and we got 15 people surrounding Dick Cheney's house with bad intentions, and if anybody messes with those 15, we're surrounding the local and state police commanders and with 15 additional houses, and we've got all these armed individuals surrounded all these people's houses. So if they ever bring anything down, that's it for the one giving the orders, one giving the unlawful orders. These are tactics. They can't stop tactics. I'm putting that out there. Use it. It would be lawful. Nothing this government does is lawful. Only abolishing the government is lawful. Now we're going to contact the police again. We continue to contact the police. They continue to acknowledge, you know, through their silence and their failed frame attempts,
and they're running away from
us. And they're running away from us, that they cannot acknowledge anything other than what exactly that we're saying. So again, if you want to be a traitor servant to degenerate, filthy Hollywood, Wall Street, Basel, Switzerland Jews, oh, Crown of London, City of London. I left out some other places as well.
Oh yeah,
Moscow. Do it. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep taking your paycheck. Keep saying like, well, this is just for my white trash offspring that we got to keep this system going. Your white trash offspring isn't worth shit if he's not part of the people. He's just a fucking slave. And if you are a slave too. But now we're giving you lawful orders. We're wagging our fingers at you. We're walking around you with guns. We surround you. We outflank you. We outflank you.
Outmaneuver you, outgun you, and now we're outthinking you.
We always outthink you because you don't think.
Because you have become a slave. You are complacent in being a citizen, which I detest that word extremely. And I think we'll pretty much end it on this.
Okay. Well, yeah.
And we'll get more into it next week and, you know, catch up on what we've been doing over the week. Because Monday, I know we have the
Monday. We're going to go to the school board,
and Tuesday we do the radio show. So, you know, we're going to be out there. It's getting close to our time, so we started a little bit late. We're going.
Tuesday we're gonna make some like important announcements about, you know, when we're gonna start meeting and what the tactics are going to be. And the public school system in all of the United States has failed. We already established that, but especially in the city of Richmond. And you know, I mean, that's going to be my message. Don't send your kids to school. You're dumb. You're a dipshit. If you're smart enough to be listening to this podcast, then you're, you know, smart enough to teach your children better than the evil public school system.
Okay, getting on real quick, getting on that. If you have to send them like I do, teach them at home.
Teach them amen.
At home, teach them. Don't tell them. Use
school is an experiment.
My son finds so many discrepancies in the books. He tells the teacher, they tell him to shut up, you know. So, but he comes home and he learns the real thing, goes to school and has to stay in their system. But you can stay in the system, work within the system, and still do damage to that system.
Right. Amen.
And, you know, so yes, people say don't send them. I understand, being a parent, I understand I have to send them because I can't afford to keep him home and homeschool him, but I still homeschool him. Yeah. And that's my point, you know, getting on to what that everybody, don't send them. Yes, I would love to go say, nah, you don't need to go to school anymore. Stop sending him to that prison pipeline. But there are the ones like my son and others that are in the system that are changing the system from within because they're keeping the curve up. They're doing the what needs to be done. They're trying to enlighten the other students, and it all isn't all, you know, just I don't want to send him there because it's bullshit. I've been against him since I was in school, but that's another subject for another day.
Yeah,
I think we'll end it on that.
All right,
a pretty good run.
Yeah,
I definitely want to thank the creator for Keekers. He was,
amen.
He was, you know, like I said, more of an activist than most of you people, and you should be ashamed. And that's where I'll end it on that one. Anything you want to say?
Yeah, thank God for Keekers, and thank God for everything. And you know, I think we really need to, you know, think about our actions and what our purpose is on the planet. You know, why are we here, and what good is this society doing? Why do we work so hard to keep it propped up? I want people to think about that.
All right. Well, this has been Get the News Straight. I'm Glenn Sutphin.
I'm Chris Dorsey.
And we'll catch you next week.
God bless.
Right, bye.